Hello, and welcome to the History Department at San Francisco State University. I'd like to talk to you a little bit today about our program, about our major requirements, and about some choices and opportunities that you're going to have in the next couple of semesters with us. My name is Laura Lissy Wagner, and I'm the current chair of the History Department. My background is in the history of early modern Europe and its relationship with the wider world, especially with the Islamic world. Here at State, I teach classes on early modern Europe, gender and sexuality, and the history of science. I'm happy to be meeting you today, even if it's just through this movie, and I look forward to meeting you in person in the fall. Before we start, I just want to take a minute to welcome all of you to the History Department. History is made up of all of our lives put together, and so it's important that the writing of history, the production of history, be something that involves all of our voices and that we all contribute to. Before I get into the major requirements specifically, I want to talk a little bit about our curriculum in general. The way that we've structured our major seeks to do three things. We want to answer the question, who are we and what brought us here? How have people from other times and places been similar and different from us? And those two questions can mean a lot of different things, but one way that you see it manifested in the curriculum is an emphasis on American history, who are we and what brought us here, but also an emphasis on getting people outside of American history, to take classes that study other world areas, to take classes not just about modern history, but that study the distant past. One of the things that is most interesting to me about studying history is the way in which it's like travel, that you meet people through their writings from different times and places, and discover the ways in which you have a lot in common, but their experiences are very different. And that's reflected in our curriculum. The third thing, some of your parents might be asking you what you plan to do with a history major. Let me say both to you and to them that the history major focuses on building skills that are necessary for 21st century jobs. Critical thinking skills, research and analysis skills, communication skills. The new economy needs people who are trained in human skills, that are trained in things that machines can't do. And the history department outfits you for any of those new economy jobs. If you're a transfer student, you can tune out for the next couple of slides. I'm going to be talking mostly to first-time freshmen, because if you're arriving with an associate's degree for transfer, you are all set with your lower division units. If you do have an ADT and you look at your degree progress report and it doesn't reflect that, please contact an advisor. There's just some paperwork that we'll need to do to make sure that your courses are transferring properly. If you don't have an ADT, but you have taken a significant number of history classes at your community college, contact an advisor. You may also be finished with your lower division units, and an advisor can help you work with your degree progress report to make sure that it's accurately reflecting the work that you've already done. Okay, now, if you are a first-time freshman starting with us in the fall, for the lower division, you're going to take 4 courses that lay the foundation for the rest of the work that you're going to do here. And those 4 courses are History 114 and 115, World History to 1500, and World History since 1500, and History 120 and 121, U.S. History through Reconstruction, and U.S. History since Reconstruction. We do accept AP credit if you took AP World History or APUSH, U.S. History. If you took the AP exams and got scores of 3 or higher on the exams, talk with an advisor if you don't already see that on your degree progress report, so that we can have the DPR reflect the work that you've done. Now, I said that you're going to take those 4 classes at the lower division, and you're going to want to take them throughout your first and second year while you're working on your lower division general education. We do also have GE or general education classes at the lower division in other areas. We have History 101, which is critical thinking in history, and that fulfills that A3 requirement. That class is a variable topics class. We have sections of that class that are about climate change, sections of that class that are about dystopias, that are about zombies, that are about the foundations of democracy. There are a variety of topics that you can study while learning about critical thinking. So consider taking your critical thinking requirement in the history department. Similarly, we have a class, History 103, the History of Me, which fits the Area E general education requirement. The History of Me focuses on autobiography and individual history and community history, oral history, and it sort of answers the questions, who am I and how did I get where I am? We also have History 112, Quantitative Reasoning for Civic Engagement, which satisfies the quantitative reasoning or math requirement B4. And what this does is it looks at, it builds skills in algebra and statistics and applies them to political and historical topics. So, for example, you learn about gerrymandering, and you learn, we use quantitative skills to look at wealth inequality. You look at historical data and represent it and analyze it statistically. So for those classes, if you take one of them for your general education, you can also use it to substitute for one of your lower division requirements. So instead of the 4 big survey classes, you would take 3 of them plus one of these. We also will give credit in the same way for Western Civ, either Western Civ to 1650 or Western Civ since 1650. Okay, now the transfers can come back in. Transfer students, if this is your first semester at San Francisco State, you have finished those lower division requirements, or even if you have 1 or 2 still left to do, you're going to want to enroll in History 300 GWAR Seminar in Historical Analysis. GWAR is an acronym for the university. The W in it is writing, so it's a writing intensive class. And what the class is how to write a research paper using primary sources as your evidence and using secondary sources to situate your argument in existing historiography. This is a prerequisite for the pro seminar, which is the capstone experience at the end of the major. So I strongly recommend for folks to go ahead and take it their first semester here at State, if they're a transfer, as a way to sort of move into the upper division curriculum. Similarly, if you're a first-time freshman looking ahead, you're going to want to do that lower division work first, and then take History 300 GWAR as you move into your upper division work, probably in your junior year. At the upper division, in addition to History 300 GWAR, you need 21 units of upper division electives. So for those elective units, you're going to choose 7 courses that appeal to your interests. For the most part, history classes are 3-unit classes. So I think about 21 units in terms of 7 courses. You may find that you have a 2-unit experience or a 4-unit experience if you're doing an internship or if you're editing for our history journal ex post facto, and those units do count towards this 21. But to keep things tidy, I like to think about it in terms of 7 courses. So among those 7 courses, you can choose what you want to take and tailor it to your interests, but you must take at least 1 U.S. history course, at least 1 course that concentrates on history before 1750, and at least 2 courses that focus on non-US history. And one of those 2 courses must be non-US, non-Europe. They can both be, but at least one has to be non-Europe as well. And you can double count where possible. For example, if you take Colonial Latin America, that's a course that both concentrates on history before 1750, though it goes, beyond that a little bit as well, but also is non-US, non-European. So it can count for both of those categories. As long as you hit those distribution requirements, all of the other units are free choice. This gives you a chance to tailor your upper division courses to your career goals, also to your intellectual interests. Let's say, for example, that you want to go to law school. You might choose to take our Constitution sequence. We have a course on the Supreme Court. You may want those to be among your electives. If you want to go into high school teaching or secondary school teaching, you'll want to take a very broad approach to choosing your classes so that you're prepared for any one of the classes that you'll be asked to deliver as a teacher. If you do want to be a teacher, you should talk with our coordinator for future teachers, who can talk you through how to choose classes to meet the requirements for the CSET waiver. So you can choose based on your goals and interests, as long as you hit those distribution requirements. So you take History 300 GWAR, you take your 21 units of elective upper division credit, and our capstone experience is History 696, the Pro Seminar. Now, you don't have to wait for your last semester to take it. You can take it any semester after you successfully complete History 300 GWAR. So what I advise students to do once they've passed the GWAR is to check each semester for what the topics are being offered the upcoming semester. And when one strikes your fancy, sign up for that one, because we do, all of the professors in the department offer a pro seminar, and so the topics change depending on who is teaching it. But what unifies the pro seminar experience is that this is what the History 300 GWAR has trained you to do. This then will be a seminar that based in a particular topic, where all of the students will be reading about that topic, discussing about that topic, and will design and produce a high quality research paper about that topic that answers a question that exists in the literature, using primary sources as your evidence and situating it in that secondary historiography. So History 696 doesn't need to be taken at the end of your program, but it is your culminating experience, and you must take it after you successfully complete your History 300. Some examples: these are the pro seminars that we'll be offering in fall 2022. We usually have 3 a semester, and so this fall we'll be offering one on colonialism and imperialism, one on American conservatism, and one titled California, America's America. And these classes are just great. It's the chance for you in a small group to get together and discuss a topic that you're interested in and you want to dive deeper into, and then produce a truly original work, a truly original contribution to that particular field. So that's the major. I want to talk about some other opportunities that you might want to know about. I want to put them on your radar. We have something called the SF State Scholars Program, that where you in 5 years can do a bachelor's and a master's in history. You start to do some of your MA work in that 4th year, in your senior year of your BA, and then you finish up the MA in your 5th year. We also have a certificate in historical research, an honors certificate. The honors certificate is for advanced students who are particularly interested in history, engaged with history, and want to do a little more. We have several internship and community service learning opportunities. I highly, highly recommend for people to get practical experience in fields that they might be interested in library and museum and archive work, to get out there and see what's possible and available and what the historical community can do to preserve and promote our past. The Marcus Undergraduate Research Fellowship is something not just for history majors, but for undergraduates throughout the College of Liberal and Creative Arts. But it's a possibility. Oftentimes people think about research as something that science students get to do, but they don't think about research in the humanities and social sciences. And the Marcus Fellowship is there to help students who are particularly interested and engaged work on a project that is important to them and receive funding to be able to do it. We also have a history department journal that is written by students, it's edited by students, the managing editors are students, and it's professionally produced. It's quite attractive, called Ex Post Facto. For more information about any of these topics, I invite you to check out the History Department's website at history.sfsu.edu or send me an email at lalisy@sfsu.edu for more information. There's my contact info. So if you want to reach me, Laura Lizzie Wagner, you can email me at lalisy@sfsu.edu. If you want to reach the History Department, you can email history@sfsu.edu. And if you want to talk more about advising, you can either email me, lalisy@sfsu.edu, or you can check out our webpage, history.sfsu.edu/advising, to see who your major advisor is. They would be happy to help direct you towards resources, answer questions about how to choose classes, talk about future career goals. We want to connect with you. We want to help you make that transition to San Francisco State. Again, I'm so excited to welcome you to San Francisco State and to the History Department. Thanks so much for listening today, and please reach out and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks so much.